You're listening to a Countout Podcast. So, Curtis, tell me how this has happened. We've been through our best case and worst case scenarios for what we thought was going to play out in the New Japan Cup, but somehow what I thought was my worst case scenario by the end of where we got to wasn't even my worst case scenario anymore. Somehow, in the face of all adversity and things that have happened, I've become a Sonata fan, and I don't know what's happened. I don't even know how in 2022 I'm going to turn around and say to you right now that I think Sonata and Evil were my MVPs of this tournament, and that is fucking crazy for me to say.
Does it sound dirty? Does it sound dirty in your mind when you say it?
It does sound dirty because even when they were cool, I didn't like them. You know what I'm saying? I hated them as a tag team. I hated all their tag team runs. I thought they were boring. I've always felt like Sonata's had things missing. I've always thought Evil's had a cool aesthetic, but, he's never really done it, for me in the ring or anything like that. But if you, look at what's happened over the course of, at least that side of the bracket, them and their squads, I guess, have sort of been instrumental in how things have happened. I don't even hate House of Torture after this. House of Torture was so important to this tournament. And I'm just left going, what the fuck has happened to my life? And the 180 I've taken on Sonata after 2 matches is fucking crazy. And it's just left me shook. How... I mean, we can break those down in detail when we come to them, but how are you feeling about those 2 particular wrestlers after this tournament?
Well, what I'd like to do first is actually just kind of invite people into the show. Hey, what's going on? I'm Curtis. This is the Okada Shorts podcast. Hey. You're listening to the dulcet tones of Rafe Houston. How you doing, Rafe?
I am good. Thank you very much. It's 5:18 a.m. in dark Perth, Western Australia at the moment. And I'm getting through it, but the powers of New Japan are propelling me forward.
That's right. And the powers of we, the Kings of Pod Style, the International Grand Prix, here on the Okada Shorts podcast. Now, let's talk about Sonata for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. Now, you're saying you're a Sonata fan, but you also told me just a little while ago that you think that there's still room for improvement.
Absolutely.
So where do you think he still needs to pull up his socks and get back to work?
Right. So Sonata for me has always had the look, I guess, and I could see why everybody was sort of high on him. And there is a little bit of a charisma there and stuff, but I felt like in the ring, because I don't know whether it was the Cold Skull persona or whether he just wasn't kind of there, I felt like there was never any emotion from him, And as a result, I could never engage with him or be into what he was doing. I'm like, well, if this guy doesn't give a fuck, why do I? Was how I sort of looked at it. And I've always felt like he's been a bit clunky and stiff, even the moonsault he doesn't flow like a beautifully arcing moonsault. He's sort of just very stiff and just sort of, goes over, And so I was kind of like, there's pieces there, and his look is he's been adapting and he's changing stuff, probably not frequent enough for kind of what I would like. And I was like, oh man, where are we going with this? And then he won the US title, and I haven't seen that match yet, but I was like, looks good with the belt. That's something. And then comes his New Japan Cup match against Hanare. Now, this is, probably maybe the first big sort of headline night spot for Hanare. I think he did one with Shingo before, but kind of a bigger spot for him, and one where he's now, his new self, the Ultimate Weapon kind of United Empire Hanare. And I was really interested to see what would happen when he was given that spot. And I really enjoyed the match, man. And I was seeing those emotions out of Sonata, like he's screaming and stuff, and like Hanare when he hits that rampage, spear just looks so brutal. And it finishes, and I was like, man, that was good. Like, I enjoyed that. I was invested. I kind of wanted Hanare to pick up a win because I was like, oh, that would be cool if he got a US title shot. Sonata wins, and normally he does that thing with, the lights turn off and they turn on the phones. And I thought
the light off stuff is ace shit.
It is ace
shit. That
shit.
is so good.
But at first, when he first started doing it, it felt a little bit contrived. Like, oh yeah, we've seen other people do this. Maybe we'll do it and it'll give him something. But over time, he's sort of fallen into it. You know what I mean? He's a little bit more casual about it, and he sort of sits down like he's kneeling there and sort of embraces it a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and then he turns around and speaks English directly into my ears and my heart. And I was like, listen to his soothing voice. And I was like, what a cutie, was how I felt about it. I was like, oh, he's so charming and thing. Maybe I'm finally getting what everybody is getting about him. And I was like, man, after that and him trying so hard and just the entire match, you know what it was? It felt like for the first time in watching New Japan for so long and seeing him wrestle so many times, it was the first match I genuinely thought he gave a fuck about it. I felt like he cared about the match, and I felt like he cared about relating to the fans, both English and Japanese. And I was like, he wants to be here. Let's fucking go, was how I felt after that first match.
Yeah, and I think no one's ever doubted that Sonata has charisma. No one's ever doubted that Sonata has talent. The idea is that a lot of people think that he's got that character of, I don't give a fuck, I'm too cool for this. And people were thinking that character that he's playing, leads him to having boring matches because it makes it seem like he doesn't care. Like the Orange Cassidy in AEW has that same sort of character of, I'm too cool for this, I don't care. But there is a point in his matches where you can see that he does actually give a shit and he is trying.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just didn't reach that level with Sonata. And then there are a lot of people that have, man. He's huge with so many people, and Sonata fans will tell you that they are fucking Sonata fans, dude. Like they'll go all the time for beautiful Seiya Sonata.
And I never got it. I mean, besides like kind of image and things like that, I was like, oh, fucking virus threat, grow up, computer, Jesus Christ.
Cut that.
Yeah, the lovely people at Canat Network are going to take care of that. But yeah, I never engage with my pro wrestlers. I need more than that. You know what I mean? And I would argue when you talk about Orange Cassidy, I think the entire point of his character is that he does give a fuck, but he sort of pretends not to throw his competitors off balance. They then start to play his game, and then he picks up the pace on them. But anyway, we're not talking about Orange Cassidy.
We're not talking about Orange Cassidy because that's not New Japan Pro Wrestling.
That is not New Japan Pro Wrestling. This isn't Khan shorts, Tony Khan shorts. This is Okada shorts. But I also then looked at like Sonata's run of matches, and he's had some amazing ones, and he's had title matches with Okada and stuff that I'm like, this was fucking boring. And
oh yeah,
to me, Okada's the best. And I'm like, if he can't get a good match out of this guy, nobody can.
Nothing was worse than his G1 final against Kota Ibushi. That was just, oh my God, it was like 38 minutes, and I was just clawing my eyes out.
Yeah,
I've never wanted to turn off a G1 final before.
Yeah,
I remember one spot in that match. It's a G1 final. I remember one spot in that match.
And I know the spot you mean at the end, and it was fucking killer. But that was, I was like, man, if these guys can't get something out of him, then maybe it's just not there to give, And
And
then
that was my problem with Aaron Hanare. I was like, I love Aaron Hanare. I don't know if Aaron Hanare is the guy to pull that out of Sonata, and he fucking did, man.
yeah, I was concerned, and I was like, Sonata's, he's the champ. He's going into it. Maybe he's going to try and lead this. But I knew, like, I know Hanare. Like, I know he can work. I've seen him work like in Perth here. You know what I mean, with local guys and stuff. I know he's got a lot of fire in him, and he's one of the most driven wrestlers on that roster. You know what I mean? And I was like, I wonder if he's got kind of, I don't know, the pull to get that out of Sonata. But by the time that was done, I was like, the greatest compliment I can give to Hanare is that, like, he got that match out of Sonata, And so
Absolutely.
I was left going, okay, there's something to this. There's something to this. Maybe we can do something with Sonata. Then we come to the match with Ospreay, and, Ospreay's talking all that shit at the start. I wasn't going to break this down till we got to it, but fuck it. And he, he's like, you ready for a good match and blah, blah, blah. You're going to take you to greatness and all this stuff like that. But the match was good and it was going well. And I was like, man, he's hanging with him and stuff. But it wasn't until the injury that then I really knew he wanted it. You know what I mean? Because the injury was very evident when, for those who haven't seen it, Ospreay does like a standing moonsault onto Sonata. Sonata puts up his knees, to defend against it. But what ends up happening is they kind of knee each other in the face. Ospreay not so much.
Yeah, they end up in like a 69 position or something.
Yeah, exactly. And like Ospreay not as much, but Sonata's, like, Ospreay's knee goes directly in Sonata's face. For those who don't know, he's like broken his orbital bone, yeah? And you can even see when he like rolls over, you can see his eyes immediately swollen, like his face is swollen, and they're both down, and you can see them audibly talking, and you can see Red Shoes, come down, and he's checking on him and stuff. And I'm like, they're going to need to wrap this the fuck up, because that's like really bad. But they go on to have like quite a brutal ending. Sonata not only after that puts him in the skull end, which is a good way to buy time, but then does a moonsault while dealing with that. Then takes like a hidden blade, and then and I don't know whether it was an audible or whatever, they're like, well, maybe instead people know he's injured, so maybe we'll do like it's a stoppage finish. But Will stiffly elbows him in the back of the head while his face is on the mat. His injured side of his face is on the mat while he's elbowing him in, the back of the head until Red Shoe stops it. And it goes on for quite a while. And I'm like, just stop it.
Yeah.
And I was
too far, amazing. Too long for a stoppage finish. It was far too long.
Far too long. But that led to it even more. You know what I mean? Because that Sonata is pushing through it because he wants the end of the match to be good. And so again, right. it then convinced me that he wanted to be there. Sometimes injuries in wrestling can be a good thing, and that sounds horrible to say, but they serve a place. Everybody gets injured, and if somebody's made that sacrifice, if they can make it into something, whether in the match or how somebody re-debuts or something like that, that you could argue, like, and maybe we'll do it as a topic on the show another time, like greatest injuries in wrestling or whatever, because there's some that have been very important to how people's careers have played out. And I messaged you, I was like, do you know how long he's going to be out for? Because that time period off could be crucial for him in how he comes back and how they play it and how they talk about it and commentary into giving him even more legitimacy,
So I haven't heard anything about a timetable. New Japan doesn't usually give anything like that. I mean, Broken Bone's going to be anywhere from, 4 weeks to, depending on if it's going to deal with an eyesight issue or anything like that, it could take a lot longer. Yeah. At this point, who knows what their schedule is, where he would fit in with a re-debut. No one really knows, and it's really sad because he, like you said, he was pulling his weight really well for all of his, what was it, 3 matches this tournament. All of them were pretty good, and yeah, really was feeling it. Do you think that Will Ospreay was meant to be the winner here? Or was the audible called there?
I don't know, because they've done such a good job with everything Ospreay from that point. You know what I mean? But maybe it wasn't audible, because how he lost to Zach was also kind of like weird and on the fly and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that was them probably playing into it. But then he's done such great work on social media, like, you know, demanding Red Shoes' license be revoked and like slowing down the footage of his supposed tap and everything like that. So if those were always the plan, like of a way for him to go out, they played into it perfectly. If they did call an audible, then that's amazing pro wrestling. But whether the finish was supposed to be that blunt force trauma stoppage, or they called that on the fly, like because they're like, we don't want to risk doing a Stormbreaker or whatever on him, you know. But I mean, they did the hidden blade, and then he kicked out, and then they went to the kind of like stoppage. So, you know, maybe that was always kind of a plan, but I don't know. Maybe they wanted to, the moment he was actually legit injured, and they would have known he was legit injured, they're like, maybe let's put him out. You know what I mean? Air quotes.
Yeah.
Like, Ospreay goes too far. Sonata is now out to give him time to recover, and then we can do something afterwards when he comes back. Who knows?
And that
you
was,
know what I mean?
that's
I don't
what
know. That's
Will was saying.
That's great.
Yeah, Will was giving that in his backstage interviews. He was saying, like, my knee didn't break Sonata's face; it was my elbow. You know, so I mean, that could be a great program if you get Sonata coming back in a big spot. That could be a really nice program, because you've got the United States champion versus the Rev Pro British heavyweight champion. That could be cool, belt for belt, you know, that sort of thing.
And if he, you know, he needs a little bit of time away or whatever, a few weeks, whatever, even a couple of months, and they keep it on him, you know, they can, you know, build up some steam behind him, and he can come in and maybe change things up a little bit. And that's the final piece of the puzzle that I mentioned to you, that you alluded to, is I think that's one of the main things that's missing for him. It's just a finisher, like a new finisher. I don't think the skull end's fine. Everybody can have a submission and stuff, but I don't think the moonsault is devastating or done particularly well or looks particularly cool. When he finishes people with the moonsault, like he did Hanare, they were having such a brutal match, and then he does that, just a single moonsault sort of thing, and it ends. It just seems, people do moonsaults 100 times a match. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe that his stiff, awkward-looking moonsault is more devastating than anybody else's, you know? So, like, I think if he had some... What's that?
Well, the problem is the moonsault is a tribute to
I know what it's
Keiji
a tribute
Muto.
to. That doesn't mean it's any more effective than
That's
anything
fair.
else. The power of Keiji Muto is not coursing through his veins at that point. Like, I don't think...
Do you think that Sonata needs a great Muta character? Do we need a great Sonato?
You're saying he comes back like he's injured and
Demon Sonata,
like a fucking Alistair Black shit all over that side of his face, and change it up.
Yeah, and he goes, he's the great Muta version of Keiji Muto. You know, like he comes out and he's a demon version of Sonata, and does like new moves and actually tries and gives a shit. And
I don't fucking hate it now that you say it. I hadn't thought about it. I was just thinking a new finisher, some kind of brutal driver or power bomb, but something that he can not fuck up, which would be good. But yeah, I mean, anything could help. You know what I mean? But the more, I think he's on the right track. He's starting to put the pieces together for me finally.
That's great. That's great news, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome when you can look at somebody and go like, I like this now. There's been plenty of times where I've been, you know, I mean, the last 2 years, we've all kind of looked at Yoshihashi and gone, we like this now. You know, like the entire, like everyone. There are people who were into Yoshihashi before, and that's great. But most of us just kind of looked at him like he was a jerk. And now he's someone who we can all get behind. That he's in our boys' stable now. But I'm hoping that Watto turns the corner like that. I really want Watto to do better. I want to unabashedly have a moment for Watto where I go, this is great.
Yeah.
I don't see it coming, but I didn't see one ever coming for Yoshihashi either.
Yeah, exactly. But see, Wato's had those moments as a young lion, right? So I could see
Right.
them coming around again. I never saw Yoshihashi as a young lion. I don't know if he also looked nervous and confused, and everybody was like, I don't know about this fucking new young lion. He looks very scared. I don't know if he's going to do anything.
Well, he still looked like a fucking dork. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, even now he looks like
He still looks like
dork.
a fucking.
I don't care if you can pop your pecs at Jeff Cobb. Like, it doesn't matter. You still look ridiculous. So, but, we all love him because he tries hard. So.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's run down a couple of the
let's
matches.
do it. I won't go on a tirade about Evil yet. I'll wait till we come to him naturally. So yeah.
Oh, we got plenty to say about Evil.
Yeah,
so
as
far.
the organised member of the podcast, please put us back on track.
So we talked about the first night of the New Japan Cup already. Let's continue on with night 2, which was Sunday, March 6th from Fukushima. And the New Japan Cup matches for that were our boy Aaron Hanare taking on Yuto Nakashima, the young lion. It was 8 minutes and 40 seconds. He beat him with a rampage tackle. Did you get any notes from this match?
It was like a real, like, hard-hitting sort of, like they were playing on like the striking vibes of both guys. Both guys have legitimate sort of fighting backgrounds. I believe the young lion has, MMA training and stuff like that, and Hanare has done like a lot of kickboxing and things, and so it was a real strike-heavy match. But I mean, whenever it's a young lion match like that, especially in a tournament, despite the combatants, I can only be so invested because I just know how it's going to go. You know what I mean? The young lion doesn't have a point, but it was a real good showcase of what he could potentially offer. A real good showcase of Hanare strikes and stuff, and that rampage is just brutal, man. Like
it really is.
That's like the best spear going. Like, it's so good.
I'm really digging Yuto Nakashima. I think he's got a great look. He's huge. The dude is just yoked, right, for a young lion. And I think he's got a great energy about him. He looks like someone who could literally like punch your face off, which is great.
He does.
So,
he's got like a real sort of mean look to him. Like, you can definitely see him looking legitimate when it's all said and done.
For sure. The next match was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ryohei Oiwa, who is my current favorite young lion. He beat him in 10 minutes and 35 seconds with a heel hook. I love the idea of any young lion mixing it up with Zack Sabre Jr. just because you get to learn so much from Zack Sabre Jr. I don't know. I've never been in the ring myself personally, but I'd imagine that if you're in the ring with someone like Zack Sabre Jr., you can't help but have greatness rub off on you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to learn so much and learn so much that not a lot of wrestlers can teach you. You know what I mean? You're not often in there with somebody of that sort of like wrestling submission acumen, so that's going to be awesome. And I thought it was like a pretty good match, lots of fire from Oiwa, but yeah, again, you just know how it's going to go.
Yeah, really at this point all you're looking for is for the young lion to show you something fun, to show a little fire, to show
potential. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and which both guys do. It's looking like a really good crop, like of new young lions, I think.
Definitely. The 8th match, the final match for that night, was Will Ospreay versus Bushi. Ospreay won with the hidden blade. These two have pretty good chemistry. Bushi doesn't really put on his working boots very often, but I think he had him on for this. It was a good, fun match. We've seen them before in, I believe it was Hiromu's re-debut in 2019, at the very end of 2019. Really, really fun match between Will Ospreay and Bushi.
Well, it was between really like Will Ospreay, Bushi, and like 4 referees as well. They used the entire staff of. It's like, get me another referee.
I think that they knew there was only so much that those two would be able to do, and they were just like, we gotta figure this out. We gotta add like 10 minutes to this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as far as
it was great.
Like, Will can drop headlining matches all day, but Bushi's only got so much. Like, you can only take off so many layers of costume for so long. You can only strangle somebody with your t-shirt so many times in a match. Like, there's only so many things you can do and so many tricks you can do. So I think they did a good job, and I think both guys looked good. Like, Bushi got like a lot in this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it could have just been, you could have done Ospreay versus Bushi and had it be like Okada versus Wato. and just had him wipe him out, and nobody would even bat an eyelid. But I'm glad they did, because like Bushi does have a lot of fans, you know.
Yeah. So I think sounds like we're thumbs up on that night then.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty fun night for sure.
Good times. So shorts up.
Yeah,
for those.
exactly. That's good.
We'll workshop this.
Well, our rating system, like it's either shorts or it's pants. It's shorts.
It was shorts. That was shorts. There we go. Yes, I love it. Okay. The next night was March 7th in Tokyo at the Oda City General Gymnasium. The first Jesus, I just saw the note. The first New Japan Cup match for that was Chase Owen versus Jado. And moving on.
Yeah. It was rough though, I gotta say. Bit like the stuff that they do in later matches with Jado, I've softened on old Jado. He's just loyal and staying to his boys. He's a big baby face now. I like Jado.
Yeah, it was really nice to see Jado say like, no, I'm one of the gorillas.
Yeah, I loved it. He's just fucking wasting dudes with this game. We'll talk about that when that match comes around. But I love that he was like, no, I'm with him. Like, because when he came out with Tama, I was like, oh, for sure, this is an immediate betrayal. But I love that he just hung with his boys. So, yeah, I've got a soft spot for Jado. This match, you know, was what it was. Chase played it like he didn't want to, you know, beat him and cheat and stuff like that. But obviously we know where that goes.
Mm-hmm. Next match was Ryusuke Taguchi versus Evil. Of course, Evil wins with Evil. Evil wins with Evil.
Evil wins with Evil, and we almost got the everything is Taguchi here. Like he came out as Lij Evil, which was ridiculous.
That was great. I wish we would have gotten a good picture of Milano Collection AT just popping for Lij Evil.
Yeah, if he had the little fan back and stuff like that, like he used to when Real Evil came.
That would have been great.
That was one of the when Evil turned and like the heartbreak like on Milano's face, like he was so upset when Evil turned. It was a great piece of character work.
It really, really was. I felt so bad. Like I didn't care. I was like, I don't give a shit, man. And then the song Milano being like, "You let me down."
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
that was what got me. The next match that took place after those two that you could easily skip was one that I think was a lot better than I've seen a lot of people on the internet give it credit for, and that was Hiromu versus Sho. Hiromu won with an inside cradle after 15 minutes and some odd. And I think these two have really good chemistry. Like you've been saying, the House of Torture bullshit it's really come into its own lately. People have been, the good guys have figured it out, and it still works some of the time, but some of the time you're going to get those good guys that are going to be able to overcome finally. So,
and it almost like, I don't know, like it's a hard one because everybody was really down on House of Torture for obvious reasons because it felt samey and wing and stuff like that. But there is something to be said now that we're sort of on the other side of it, and we're seeing sort of the fruits of that in this era we live in of like smart fans and popular heels and nobody can be a real heel. It's almost like they were like, we just need to make them fucking annoying so people actually legit hate them, and then they become real heels. People want them to go away, and then when our guys start beating them, people will care. I remember Kevin Kelly said on the Super J cast, shout out Joel and Damon, that he's like, the good guys just need to start fighting back. And at the time I was like, yeah, they do, but it would help if it wasn't shit, like kind of thing. But now, but he was 100% right. And now that you're seeing, guys get the better of them, that's when I started this podcast, I was saying that they did so well, and I was left feeling like some of these guys were the MVPs of my tournament, and it was for that reason. Because they finally, were getting the better of them and stuff. And Sho's a great wrestler, but he's been, doing that stuff and really leaning into it to make sure people hate him. And so when he gets beaten and when the wrench doesn't work out and when the other guys aren't effective and stuff like that, you're left going, fuck yeah, they got it. And it's very rare in this day and age of like modern wrestling that I get that feeling. because I am a smart fan, I guess you'd say. I usually kind of know the way things are going to go, and I want to be surprised by my wrestling, and I want things to work. And I was so conditioned for like fucking 2 years of boring House of Torture finishes that I was like, oh, I know how this is going to go. And then I'm like, oh, he got it. Like, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, there's something to be said for it.
You know what you're saying right now. The same stuff you were saying, however long ago about a condition for 2 years of boring money clip finishes.
Yes.
And then when he finally hits a Rainmaker, it brought it back. So that's exactly what they were doing. They were saying, oh man, these guys are at it again. Oh no. And then the first time we see somebody finally figure that bullshit out and solve the puzzle, solve the Rubik's Cube of House of Torture. That's a little bit complicated for them. Solve the little kindergarten puzzle that is the House of Torture.
It's kind of crazy because the guts it takes to see stuff like that through, especially in today's like era, you know what I mean, is really ballsy because fans will turn off. And you're in a time where, COVID's happening, things are limited, like it just shows like New Japan is such like a traditional, staunch company. They're like, this is what we're doing and we're seeing it through. You know what I mean? They don't jump with fads and stuff. It's why they're so solid all the time. And it's just left me going, I just got to keep having faith in this company because it always pays off in the end.
Yep, sure does. Speaking of paying off, the final match of this night was Shingo versus Tomohiro Ishii in a hell of a big boy battle. 23 minutes, 32 seconds with Last of the Dragon. Shingo Takagi advances. Oh, man, did I love this fucking match.
Dude, they're two of my favorites, but when they've versed before, I haven't always felt like those matches have lived up to what I sort of expected from them. Like, I remember there's a couple I was like, oh, that was a little bit flatter than I thought. But this one, man, was an absolute banger. For just like a first round match, they absolutely killed it. Also, did you see that Made in Japan? I could have sworn, I thought Evil landed, Evil, just think about nothing but evil. But I thought Ishii like almost landed on his head. Hey, I mean, it wouldn't matter because he's got no neck, but it was very close. That camera angle was crazy.
Oh, it was a great match. Everything looked fucking mean, dude. Everything just had extra bite to it. I say bite because it's the Stone Pitbull, obviously. No, man, they were dropping bombs, absolutely killing it, and everything had so much force behind it that it was just they broke the walls in that place. It was like Superman and Doomsday fighting, and that one punch they throw and all the glass around them shatters. I don't know if you've read the comic. Anyway, it's great because every lariat that they were throwing, every punch, every slap, every chop, shudders.
Had some meat on the bones. We have a special mention for like Shingo's right jab as well. It's like one of my favorite. When he does that punch, it's just so sick and so fast every time. And also,
I just love it. Kevin Kelly, straight right.
Yeah, I love it.
Yukon lariat.
I love it. And Shingo's just like, his confidence now is through the roof. Like the little winks at the camera and pointing at it and the yells and the flexes and stuff. He's just feeling himself and he's just at the absolute top of his game, eh?
Megastar.
Yeah, megastar.
Megastar Shingo Takagi.
Yeah, he's fucking so awesome. And he's had a bit of a rough run in this tournament, like as far as who he drew. But he made the best of them, of course, and then got to some banger matches. So we'll keep on. We'll talk about them when they come because I keep going off on tangents. But yeah,
sure,
he's the fucking one, man. Like I find it hard to think of a wrestler like that. I enjoy his matches consistently more than this, no matter who it is. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm not even pumped to watch him and Tangaloa or whatever. And then I watched it this morning at 4:30 while I was waiting for us to start this, and I was like, what a fucking bagger! Like he's just killer, right?
He's so good. He's just so good. And he's been good for literally like decades. He's just a mad scientist when he comes to putting his matches together.
Yeah.
He's so good.
He's so good.
So what do we think of this night? The Chase Jado, Ryosuke, and Taguchi and Evil. Does that bring down the awesomeness that was
Um,
Sho Hiromu and
Look,
Shingo and Ishii?
it did, but Shingo and Ishii were so good. I'm still giving the night a short because
All right.
because that was a fucking. I would sit through both of those matches again in a second to rewatch Shingo and Ishii.
Yeah, that's one of my, I would say probably my favorite matches so far this tournament. If I had to pick 5 matches for this tournament, that might be in the top 5.
And see, that's another thing as well. I didn't really go. We were talking about Taguchi. I didn't really go in on Evil that much. Again, another guy that I was like, can this guy just fucking give me a good match or what? But even with Taguchi, I thought it was good. I thought he was working really hard this tournament. I'm like, okay, maybe Evil can start to carry some matches now, because I was like, if he doesn't have the right opponent, he can't look good. And again, it was good. And Evil wasn't super dominant in this tournament, but he served his purpose perfectly. Like all the building they did, giving him the titles, all the credibility they did is now paying off when he puts these dudes over, when he has to have people cheat to beat them and stuff like that because he's not good enough, but they are. Like that is where his value is now, and it's awesome.
And it pays off so well when we get to his final match of the tournament. We'll get there soon.
Yeah, exactly. Let's keep going.
But
yeah, I'm giving that night a shorts because fucking Shingo and Ishii are the best.
Shit, yeah, it was. March 9th in Tokyo, Kurikan Hall, we had Hiroki Goto and Dick Togo. Oof. Started the second round. What'd you think of that match?
Yeah, I would be lying if I said I paid attention for 1 second in this match. I know I was there. I know it was on the TV, but I think I was just looking at my phone. Like I couldn't even tell you. Can you tell me anything about it? I know Goto won, and that's good. But yeah.
Yeah, Goto won, and I didn't give a single fuck. So, yeah, pants. Moving on. The next match was Shima versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Won by, of course, Meteora. I mean, that's what, like 60% of Shima's offense. I liked this one. I think Kanemaru he's such a fun like heel, especially it's even funner to see the like sneaky like bullshit heel stuff that he does now that they're tweeners. He's one of those crazy uncle wrestlers who he can get one of those wins at any time, but he's so much fun to watch for just the like bullshit that he pulls off, and you love him for every second of it. His shenanigans are fun and cheeky, whereas the HOT shenanigans for so long have been so
tragic and sad,
terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
So tragic.
Yeah, it was good. I still think Shima's probably my least favorite Strong Heart. Like I kind of wished it was any of the others and not him, but I know why it was. You know what I mean? He's the guy that's been around for ages. I believe these two have history, right? Like they are rivals from the past. So I think this match had history in it, didn't it? Yeah, exactly.
I'm not 100% sure. I think Kevin Kelly mentioned something about that.
Yeah, exactly. I think they were like, because I know Kanemaru in his past, I believe it was like super dominant, like junior heavyweight, for a while, like held titles for a long period of time and stuff. And I think they had rivalries and stuff then. So without knowing that though, there may have been nods and stuff to that. But yeah, I had fun with it. I always liked Kanemaru. I personally, for me, I don't know, Kanemaru going through would have been more interesting, I think, just because I'm not super high on Shima. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. It's fine. It's like a mid calf level pant. It's like a 3/4.
It's a
capri.
What are those called? a capri pant.
Is a capri pant a 3/4? I don't know.
And this is going to be the fun one here. The final match for that night, the main event. Kazuchika Okada versus Master Wato. Okada just sunned Wato. Yeah. Just like, have a seat, young man. it was the most disrespectful match I've watched in a long fucking time.
Okada did not give a fuck about the match for 1 second, which was amazing.
And he shouldn't have.
No.
He shouldn't have.
No, exactly.
At any point.
But you know what? Wado was still trying his absolute hardest. And then the way he beats him, just like the nonchalant kind of rainmaker and like one-handed pin, it was really good. It's the kind of match it should be. If anything, it was too long for me. Like they could have shaved 5 minutes off that. I think 10 minutes.
I think that they kind
that.
of
I know
to after
yeah.
The show that they put on was really low. I was really low on it, and then they had to do something. They had to do something because I mean, look at the New Japan Cup matches for that. So you've got your normal multi-man tags and things like that, and then it's Goto, Dick Togo, Shima versus Kanemaru, and Okada just absolutely fucking leveling Master Wato for 18 minutes.
See, if I was in the building, if Okada squashed him in 5 minutes, I would have been like, good, I can catch my train home. And I would have been stoked about it. So I think for me, the whole
but how much did you pay for those tickets that you're going to sit there and say, oh, that was good, a little 5-minute match?
At that time, the money is already spent, and I'm more about how much of my time are you wasting. So I would be totally fine with it. But yeah, the whole night for me.
This is at Kurikan Hall, man. They've run Kurikan Hall into the fucking ground. They're doing Kurikan Hall like 10, 11, 12 times a month. Like those fans, like what did they must have only sold, they said, oh, it's Okada versus Master Wato, and sold like 200 tickets. Like it had to have been. So nobody would have paid for that.
Yeah, the great thing about Kurikan Hall though is sometimes it's fun just to go to be in Kurikan Hall. Like we've just gone to any wrestling that's been on when we've been there just to be there. You know what I mean? And if it's your evening, you finish work, you're already in Tokyo. Oh, there's a little New Japan show on. I'll catch some things. It doesn't hurt. It's still a nice night. But I'm going there to see wrestling, not to have a nice night in Kurikan Hall. So as a result, the whole night pants.
This entire night was pants.
Yeah. On to the next.
All pants.
Yeah. Nothing but.
Next night. So the next night was Thursday, March 10th in Yamanashi. I think Yamanashi. And the first New Japan Cup match that we got for that night was Yoshihashi, our man Tacos, versus Kosei Fujita. That's your current favorite young lion, or at least he was. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last time we talked. Yeah. Won by butterfly lock, which is I hate the butterfly lock.
I hate it. It looks like it would be a nice stretch. If anything, I would like to have a butterfly lock done to me right now because my back feels a little bit tight. It doesn't look like it hurts, and it is a terrible move.
Yeah, I've got my arms stretched out like Jesus in the Last Supper, and I feel like that's the butterfly lock.
Yeah, I feel like this is a nice stretch just doing it now, actually. I feel like it's really... Yeah, I don't think it's good, and that is...
Wake up first thing in the morning, have a butterfly lock and a cup of coffee,
Fine, get my wife to put me in a butterfly lock before I head out to work,
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's nothing. It's a nothing move. It's garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Phoned it in. I didn't care about this.
Yeah, no, this was fine.
Yoshihashi comes back in this tournament, but this whatever. Who cares? On to the next.
The next match was Naito versus Gato. Naito won with a roll up after 14 minutes and 18 seconds. Why did Naito need to do a sneaky roll up to beat Gato?
Naito has rolled up everybody in this tournament so far.
He has. Mm-hmm. He has. And I think that the reason for that is probably like people have been pointing out he's being a huge dickhead this tournament, mm-hmm. which is great. I love dickhead Naito. It's my favorite Naito. But Gato is so much lower on the pecking order than Naito. Naito should have just been able to put him down. This is in the level of Okada and Master Wato. He should have been able to just fucking smoke him.
One Destino,
especially if it's not
real quick.
It didn't even have to be a Destino. He could have been in with anything really. Valencia.
What's Valencia? Oh yeah, that's the other. Yeah, actually, that would have been fine. Yeah, secondary finisher.
Yeah,
beat him. That would have been totally fine. Yeah,
and this is not the main event. It was a great fun story match, like filler. They were being heels to each other and things like that. It was fun to watch, but like, come on, really? Like you're gonna let You're gonna let Gedo stick around for 15 minutes with one of the top guys in the company? No,
Yeah.
get out of here.
Ghetto
Get the
let
fuck
himself
out of here.
stick around for that long. He's booking the shit. He'll do whatever he
Guess.
wants. But normally,
Guess.
I mean, one thing that you say about Ghetto is he normally just books himself to lose and quite quickly, you know? So,
Definitely.
But yeah, obviously they're telling that story that Naito kind of is not only being a bit of a dickhead, but he's also probably not on top of his game at the moment, you know? So he's getting wins, but he's not like super dominant, you know, devastating Naito. He's more like a crafty Naito right now.
Yeah, which is really fun. I do love that. I wonder if that's going to come into play as we continue the story.
It might.
So the next match was Satoshi Kojima versus Jeff Cobb. Big boy battle. Lots of meat. Lots of meat in this match. It was 15 minutes and 36 seconds. Jeff Cobb advances to the third round with the Tour of the Islands. And man, he hoisted Kojima like it ain't no thing.
He did.
That was awesome.
Man, I love Kojima, hey. He's one of my favorite,
so
like, you know, New Japan veterans, dads, whatever you want to call them. You know, he's great. He always goes hard. I like him.
Yeah, I think he's one of those people that, you know, in every company, there's people you're like, I want to hang out with that guy.
Yeah.
Kojima's one of those dudes for me. He and I could just sit around and like eat different kinds of bread.
Yeah.
It would be great.
Straight up.
I love him.
And he works so hard. He always looks ready to go. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I thought he felt credible. You know, he didn't feel like when you verse a young lion and it's like this is a foregone conclusion. Even though we know Jeff Cobb is going through, it felt like you never know. Kojima could get an upset here. Like, you know, one lariat.
He definitely could. He definitely could at any time. The thing about Kojima is technically he's dad status, but I don't think they've told him that.
No, he said he's ready to go. He thinks he's like Tanahashi status. He's like, I got one more run. I got one more run with the title in me. That's how he looks at it.
I'm into it.
Yeah,
I gotta say,
I got no problem.
Put that belt on Kojima. I don't even care.
No problem with it. Absolutely. Let's go.
Shorts there. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Bad Luck Fale was our main event. Tanahashi won with a roll up in about 15 minutes. A 15-minute Bad Luck Fale match. I gotta go pants on it, buddy.
Yeah, look, it wasn't the best. I have liked Tanahashi and Fale in the past. There was a previous, I think it was New Japan Cup or G1, where the finish was like one of my favorites. They're outside. Tanahashi's got him up for, Bad Luck Fale has Tanahashi up for like the Bad Luck Fall, you know, on his back kind of thing. And Tanahashi manages to like push off the ring post, like from the outside, stagger Fale into the railing, get back in the ring and just win by count out. And like when Tanahashi's up against the wall against like a big threat and he makes Fale seem like a big threat, I love it when he like outcrafties them and manages to get one over. I think he does those type of matches really well. But
he really does.
It wasn't like super fire or whatever. And, you know, we talked about it on a previous episode where, you know, he's doing the Lions Raw show and blah, blah, blah. Like, I wouldn't have hated a return to, like, dominant Fale. Like, it wouldn't have hurt Tanahashi to just have, like, Fale mow him, you know?
Yeah. At this point, Tanahashi, I mean, he's not washed. He's obviously not washed. He's one of the greatest of all time. We agree on that. But, I mean, are they really selling tickets on the back of that as a main event? I know he's Hiroshi Tanahashi, but like he and Bad Luck Fale have a history of matches. They've never really torn the building down together. I don't know how maybe it was, that is a smaller venue though, isn't it? So maybe that's what they were.
I think just seeing
kind
the
of
ace,
relying on.
Yeah, and sending the people home happy. And then also you get to do Naito and Tanahashi, which is always going to be a good one. So yeah, it was fine. Whatever.
Yeah. All right.
It was probably the whole night though, pants, I guess.
Kojima and Cobb, and
I don't
the Naito Gedo match was fun. But yeah, Kojima and Cobb was the only good match really on that card.
And I don't think it's enough to bring up the weight of the other matches. So I'm going to have to go pants on that night.
You're right. Pants on that night. Next up, Saturday, March 12th in Aichi at the Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium. first cup match of the night. This one was awesome. Zack Sabre Jr. and Doki. You got Zack Sabre Jr. pulling out Cremation Lily from he found that in his pocket somewhere in the trousers he left on the rack for 10 years. And yeah, it was great, man. 15 minutes of a lot of fun.
Yeah. I loved him like yelling at Doki, like telling him to stop pissing about and to fight him and stuff like that. It was really good, man. These two, you can tell like Zach likes him a lot. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And they were working really hard together. I thought it was good and showcased both guys beautifully.
The coolest thing about Doki is he knows he doesn't get a lot of these big money matches, and when he does, he goes all out. Yeah. His match with Hiromu was that in December? That was great. That was so good. And here he was going all out. I'm a big fan of Doki. I thought he was an absolute joke when he first came into the company. You know, I was like, who's this jerk replacing Despy? And nah, man, he's won me over. He's got a lot of really cool moves that you never really get to see because he doesn't get the chance to break them out. But yeah, strap up Doki, son. Put junior tag titles on him or something.
He's good. Did you
never
notice,
6-mans?
Did you notice at the start Kevin Kelly being like, didn't know this, but Doki speaks English, so apologies for anything I've ever said about him. He goes, I think I've been pretty complimentary, but just in case, like.
Yeah, just in case, don't hit me with your pipe, please.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, I like Doki, man. He was a bit of a meme to begin with, and he's come a long way and won everybody's respect. So all the credit in the world to him for that.
And still wearing a mask inside. Good for him.
Yeah, good on
Not
you.
a lot of people do that anymore.
Thoughtful.
Thoughtful. Yeah. All right. So yeah, next match was Great Okan versus Taiji Ishimori, the Bone Soldier. Okan wins after 16 minutes and some odd seconds with the Eliminator. I wasn't really super impressed with this match. It made me sad. I was really hoping for more.
Yeah, nah. I don't know. Boner for me is like pretty hit and miss. You know, like I think he's got all the tools, but he's just lacking something at the moment, you know. Like he's even got the look and everything, but I don't know. His matches just never really fire for me.
He's a bit older than some of the other guys, so maybe that's it. Maybe he's slowed down a little bit. His Noah stuff was, I mean, he was probably the fastest wrestler in the world for a while.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, he would just fly. He has slowed down a bit, and yeah, sometimes when he's losing, he doesn't give 110%. And I think I'm more of an apologist for Taiji Ishimori than a lot of people are. They tend to call him out more than I do. Maybe I'm not objective, but yeah, I was really hoping for more here, and a lot of people were saying, nah, he's gonna phone that in. Yeah. And even I noticed that he did.
Yeah,
pretty sad.
He did. Disappointing because Okan has a lot to offer, but there you go.
Yeah, so pants on that one. Next up, another fun one, Will Ospreay and El Phantasmo. 17 minutes 31 seconds. Will Ospreay advances with the Hidden Blade. This match was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
It was real good. You just got two genuine dickheads being genuine dickheads and having a ton of fun.
Yeah.
You could see how much fun they were having, and I really loved it. I really love this match.
Absolutely, and I think it really showed like the star potential of El Phantasmo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Like right from the second from his entrance. His entrance is so cool, and his look and the jacket and all that kind of stuff and his swagger. I think the only thing he's missing now is just size. You know what I mean? And like when he was standing opposite Will, you know, I don't think he'd look really super out of place in the heavyweights. But, you know, if he was to put on just a little bit more muscle mass, like Will has done and stuff, you could see him being like a centerpiece for Bullet Club for sure.
I don't know that he necessarily has to jump to heavyweight. I know people always talk about how this junior should jump to heavyweight. Are there a lot of junior heavyweights that are coming back in soon? I mean, why are they trying to move everybody to heavy? Like, I think that he's never won the junior heavyweight title. Mm-hmm. I would love to see him on it, see it on him. I just don't think that people need to worry about him jumping up to heavyweight right now. He's got a lot left to accomplish in the junior division.
Well, that's true. I always just look at the junior division as a bit of a backseat. You know what I mean? Like this tournament was a great example because when you see, I don't know, I just find it way more exciting when I'm seeing like, you know, Despy versus Okada, Hiromu versus Suzuki and Evil, like I know the juxtapositions in sizes and stuff like that. Like, I think, I think there's just more upside in the heavyweight division. That said, though, that may not be what he wants. And like you say, there's only so many spots to go around, so he could become a big centerpiece of the junior division for a while before going there. We don't need to rush it. But I think the potential is definitely there for him to be like, you know, a successor to Jay White, you know.
If he did jump up to heavyweight, that would be great. I could definitely see him the fun things he could do, like as a Canadian with the US title and stuff like that, could be great. But I feel like he might get lost in the shuffle at the moment if like you said, with Jay coming back eventually.
Yeah, exactly. But one thing about New Japan, like we said, they're not in a rush to do anything, man. You know what I mean? They'll give you those little hints like, oh, imagine if this was to happen or whatever, these little crossovers, and just begin planting the seeds. And, you know, a few years down the track, we might be talking about his, you know, great junior run, and now he's finally crossed over into the heavyweight division and stuff. You know, there's time. So.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, just because the heavyweight division is a lower division and they get beat pretty handily by the heavyweights most nights, doesn't mean that there aren't great stories to tell as a junior.
Yeah, definitely. Plus,
that's mine.
I mean, I would definitely like to see Phantasmo be like next up, like to Despy kind of thing. I think they could have a run of rivalries that would be really, really cool.
That'd be so cool. And the final match for this night was Sonata, your new boyfriend Sonata, versus Aaron Henare.
Yep, and I mean we talked about that and said how great we thought it was, and like I said, any kind of match that can make me completely 180 on a character, like on a wrestler, is awesome. That's what I like to call, and what we like to call, an Amy-180. See, my wife has very staunch opinions on wrestling and wrestlers. She will very quickly decide if she doesn't like somebody. Like straight away, first time seeing him, doesn't like him and is not interested. Until the moment they pull off the move that few people have ever pulled off, the Amy-180, where she then immediately turns and is all about them, and then is their most diehard fan of all time. I'll give you a quick example of an Amy-180, because it doesn't even need to be to do with wrestling.
Please.
But Phantasm, as she calls it, him, El Phantasmo, is one of the Amy-180s. But the funniest one I can think of that happened immediately on a dime, we went to House of Hardcore, came to Perth, West Australia, where I live, and Jack Swagger, what's his name? What's his name?
Jake Hager,
Jack Swagger, whoever he is, was there. And we historically did not like him from his WWE time, you know. And we're like, boo, Hager, boo, kind of thing, because he's coming to the ring and he's supposed to, you know, people are like, we're the people, but we're like, boo. And then he comes across in front of us. We're like right on the railing, and then he stops, and then he bends down and he picks up Amy's purse. She dropped it. It had fallen through the railing. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry, miss, did you drop? She's literally booing him. I'm sorry, miss, did you drop this? And she's like, oh, thank you so much. He's like, no worries. And then she's like, we the people, like immediately 180, and then has been his fan ever since. So that's how she goes. And the same with Phantasm, as she calls him. She was like, I love Phantasm. We were at one of the rec center shows, and he did that stuff for the first time where, you know, him and Ishimori were teaming up, and they would do these elaborate setups to back rakes. Like, you know,
I love that stuff.
Like he's like walks the ropes, does a backflip, rolls the thing, back rake, you know, and then by the end of that match, she was laughing so much that she was like immediately on his side. So me and Sonata did an Amy 180 like this time. So if you ever hear me use that term, that's what it is. It's basically immediately changing your opinion on somebody that you have historically had another opinion of.
We're adding to the Okada shorts lexicon now. We've got shorts versus pants, and now the Amy 180.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it means.
Right,
so
this is a good episode.
Yeah, you're like, if I have gone full Amy 180, it means you've just, you know, turned around on somebody.
Is that the title of the episode, the Amy 180?
I mean, do we have titles? But yeah, sure.
I mean, like last time we uploaded an episode, they said, "What's the episode title?" And I was like, I don't know, man.
I think
But that's going to be the new. Okay, there it is.
okay.
The Amy-180.
We'll call
that's
it
the title of the
Amy-180.
episode.
All right, cool. No worries. All right. So the whole night, though, what are you giving it?
You know what? I'm gonna give this one shorts. I'm gonna give it
Same.
shorts. The Great Okan Taiji Shimura match kind of drug it down, but Saber Doki, Osprey Phantasmo, and Sonata Hanare shorts.
Absolutely. And you know what? Even if some of the other matches were worse, anything that can pull an Amy-180 is an immediate shorts to me.
Definitely. So the next match was Sunday, March 13th in Hyogo, and the first cup match was oh god, there's that fucking name again. Tiger Mask versus Chase Owens.
That's okay. Pause for 1 second because the pronunciation was so bad it actually caused the internet to glitch and we lost you anyway. So, so just redo that whole bit because it went and you became a robot. So.
Okay, I am not a robot. All right, so the next night was Sunday, March 13th in Hyogo. And the first cup match that we had was, oh, damn it. Chase Owens shows up again. Chase Owens versus Tiger Mask. It was 10 minutes and 33 seconds. Chase Owens advances via package pile driver. And I don't even think I watched this match.
You know what? I watched it in fast forward, if you could call opening it up in your browser and then just sort of clicking randomly in the bar to sort of see a few bits. And I did that mere moments before turning on with you because it was one of the only matches I didn't get to see. One thing I did like...
I was making a sandwich. I had no interest in this match.
I couldn't possibly imagine giving a fuck about this, but what I did like was two things from what I saw. One, Tiger Mask being a hard old bastard and just throwing head kicks and like absolutely obliterating Chase in the corner was pretty cool. I was like, yeah, let's go. And then at the end, Tiger Mask just takes like the full package pile driver. Like it looked brutal. And I was like, you don't need to do that, man. Good on you.
Go home and be a grandpa now, Tiger Mask.
No, team up with Robbie Eagles, Flying Tigers all the way.
Oh, Flying Tigers are so good. God, I love Flying Tigers.
Yeah,
anyway,
awesome.
Tiger Mask rules, and he has some of my favorite entrance music in all of wrestling.
Yeah,
go Tiger! I get so pumped every time. Okay, so yeah, moving on. That was like way more talk than we needed to ever do about a Chase Owens match.
I'm exhausted.
Next up was Shingo Takagi versus Tangaloa. Good old T. And Shingo wins with the pumping bomber at 12 minutes and 31 seconds. I thought this match was really good. I'm not sure if it was Shingo bringing it out of Tangaloa. I think Tangaloa's got a lot of upside. He hasn't gotten a good singles win yet, really. So,
yeah, I thought it was good. I liked the way he ended it, like winning with the pumping bomber out of nowhere, and the pin was really cool because A, it gives credibility to any move. B, it sort of protected Tangaloa a little bit. I mean, he's in this new kind of baby face sort of mode. So they're kind of showing that, like, you know, he wasn't really defeated. He just sort of caught him. But Shingo's reactions and, like, facial expressions, he was like, haha. And he was like, kept going, 3, see that? And then he's like, looks at the camera and he's like, give him one of these. And then, and he's like, yeah. Like he was just fucking stoked because he's like, he's pointing to his head. He's like, I'm fucking smart. I just got him. Like, he was stoked with his own win. And I loved that. The entire time he kept like counting on the way out and just doing the motions of the bomber and the pin. He was like, ha ha. And I was like, yeah, you get him, Shingo. That was awesome. He loved it.
Yeah, no,
he loved it.
This was a lot of fun. You could tell Shingo was having fun in that match for sure.
Yeah.
I think Tangaloa he's going to hit another level here.
I think so.
We can talk about it. We can talk about it with the next match that's coming out. But I think the Guerrillas of Destiny are about to hit another level, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yep.
The next match, Tama Tonga versus Evil.
Yes.
Evil.
He was awesome in this match. Both guys were awesome in this match. Tama Tonga came out. Obviously, Jado comes out. I'm like, oh, look at this potential betrayal. But as we said, stayed firm with his boys. It was a great match with a lot of fire from both guys. You could see the huge upside of Tama Tonga in it. And then when they pull all the Bullet Club shenanigans and all like the turns, and you think these guys are coming to back him up, but then they're also against him, and then Jado's just like fucking breaking his you know, like kendo stick over people's heads going sick, and then lower trades to make the save, but then even bad luck Fale is, you know, betraying them and stuff like that.
Oh, that hurt your soul, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it hurt theirs. Like Tama Tonga, like in his post-match stuff, was like, not you too kind of thing, you know? And I feel like they just did a great job of really making those guys into, like, turning them properly, you know, into faces.
Genuine baby face.
Absolutely.
Genuine baby face. If Tama Tonga, if he comes out and he cuts a promo in Japanese at some point, he's going to hit the fucking roof.
Yeah. He can do it, man. Yeah.
They are gonna love Tama Tonga. It's so funny because for years my co-host on Smart Foundation, Shane, he's a big Tama Tonga fan, and he's constantly like, Tama Tonga should be the leader of the Bullet Club, blah blah, you know, all these things. Yeah. Like I was telling him like, dude, turning face is the best thing that's ever happened to Tama Tonga.
Yeah,
the dude is like, they are adored right now. Mm-hmm. Every time he's coming out with Tanahashi.
Yeah.
You know, he's coming out with Wado and Taguchi. He's putting together this weird, like, Hantai God, like, faction. Mm-hmm. And people are digging it, man. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah. No, it's really cool, man. And, like, I've always thought he's had this huge upside. Me and Amy and Mo always reference this promo from a G1 a few years ago where Tama Tonga says, 7 fucking years. He's like, I've been here for 7 fucking years, and now go do it. Now it's actually more like, I don't know, over a decade that he's been there, and all he's ever been is Bullet Club guy, you know? So I think he's got this huge upside, and why not now take a punt and do something different? Like, the guy is, like, in great physical shape. He's got so much charisma. I think I said to Amy, I'm like, he's like Roman Reigns with charisma. You know what I mean? Yeah. People say, you know, Roman's doing really well now and stuff like that. It wasn't that way for a very long fucking time. Tama's got heaps of charisma and has always had it. You know, he can talk. He's, say what you want about his matches and stuff. He's always been, like, creative and crafty in spots where you don't expect it. One of my favorite Tama Tonga matches was in a G1 where Suzuki's coming down to the ring and Desperado's following him with the Suzuki gun flag. Tama jumps Desperado behind Suzuki, grabs the flag, and then follows Suzuki to the ring. And so Suzuki's getting in and he's doing his clap and shit. And then he, like, turns back and then he, like, catches it and he's like, huh? And then he drops it and then he, like, just jumps him and starts, like, wailing on him. I was like, that was so funny because, like, the entire tournament, you know, Desperado's always following him. And so he just took his spot. Like, you know, he's creative and he wants to do it. And so, like, it's part of what's making this New Japan Cup is so good is that New Japan have gone, you know what? We can't do the travel shit right now. We're sick of, you know, spinning our wheels. Let's use the whole roster in the New Japan Cup. Let's use all the fucking dudes. We've got so many talented wrestlers. Let's start investing in our own talent and let's make something happen. That's what I said to you in the very first New Japan Cup date we did on my show. I was like, will anybody do anything ever? Was how I was feeling about these last couple of years. And this New Japan Cup has been turning me around because they're doing stuff. They're telling stories with their own guys and they're starting to make things happen. And it's why Evil and House of Torture were MVPs for me in this because they became critical to that. You know, you needed those guys in those places that when they get beaten and things start to turn now it feels like the tide is turning and something's happening. So, yeah, I'm very happy with how it went.
I remember you and I both were so upset. We were like 48 slots for this, and the only outsider they got was Shima. Oh, man, what are they going to... I don't want to see this guy. I don't want to see this guy. And this might be one of the best New Japan Cups we've had in recent memory.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. And I love that we chose to start this show now with this New Japan Cup because it's the changing of the guard and it's things starting to turn for the company. And I always had faith they'd turn it around, and this is finally feeling like things are coming around. You know, restoring Okada to champion at Wrestle Kingdom, and then leading into this. And I think it's great they didn't bring in a heap of, you know, guest slots and stuff like that, wrestlers that wouldn't be there, wouldn't win in the end, and are really only there to, just be star matchups that people will tune in for and click for likes and stuff on Gears.
Yeah.
They go, we're going to invest in our own roster. I said it's like, they're like, you know what, financially we probably can't afford it. We've got these guys, we're paying them anyway, put them all in the fucking tournament. But what they've actually done is invest in their own talent. And I think that's so important. Like, I mean, they've trained most of these guys from dojo to now. You know what I mean? They know they can all go. Any of them can be tapped on the shoulder and can deliver a banger match. So it's like, so let's do it. Let's start to tell stories and let's, go places with it. And this is from when we ran through every single match right at the sun. We're like, kind of thing. It's looking good, man. It's looking really good.
Yeah. Yep. The final match for that night was Hiromu versus Minoru Suzuki. Hiromu, he won by, it says, unnamed Hiromu roll.
Well, that is absolutely great, and he should keep that name for it. This match was like, a Suzuki slap battle that you see, but it was just done so well. The fire out of both guys, the facial expressions, the emotion out of Hiromu, and like it was just killer, man. Like it was a really, really good match, and I was watching it on the brink of exhaustion. The brink. For those who haven't listened before, I've been going through like a lot with my wife. She just had her gallbladder out, and so there's been lots of long nights and discomfort and stress and all that kind of stuff. And so I've been trying to get through these New Japan Cup, and some of these matches, man, I'm just literally like falling asleep watching it. And I was like just keeping my eyes open watching these two madmen slap the living fuck out of each other. And yeah, I loved it. It was awesome.
The thing about this match is this is the kind of match that would really alienate someone if they aren't ready for it. This, you couldn't just show this to a newbie and be like, this is New Japan, because it's not.
Yeah.
But it is. It so is.
Yeah.
It's not the New Japan level of like work rate that you normally see. It is the New Japan level of like storytelling and like fire inside, that sort of thing that you're used to seeing. And I think that was the story they were showing is Suzuki. He is a heavyweight. Minoru Suzuki is supposed to be someone who should be able to handle a junior like Hiromu, but Hiromu had so much fire inside of him that he was able to overcome and withstand and use, his own heavy hands to lay it right back into Suzuki. And I don't know how many chops they ended up throwing. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 or something like that. Yeah. And it was ridiculously cool just to watch those two, like, Suzuki kind of toying with his food at first, and then Hiromu fighting back to the point where Suzuki, ended up losing. Yeah. And it was pretty shocking. He it was really great because he turned around to the ref. He's like, that was 2. It's like, motherfucker, that was 6. He kept you down for so long.
Yeah, he was minced, and his chest was just disgusting. Like it was just like Suzuki doesn't give that shit to everybody, man. Like he must a lot of Hiromu, or he'll always rock up when the time is right. And man, yeah, it looked brutal, and Hiromu really showed who he is and how tough he is, which is awesome.
Definitely, yeah. Hiromu got some heavy hands, buddy. Oof, he's like Paul from Tekken, just boom.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Brutal. So yeah, I'm gonna say shorts for that one. For
absolutely
sure.
Shorts. Absolutely, this whole night was shorts.
Yeah, well, except for Tiger Mask and Chase Owens.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't really watch it, so it doesn't count. The matches that I cared about were shorts, and they would carry that through anyway. So
definitely, a lot of good storytelling in that between Shingo Tongaloa and Tama Tonga and Evil, and then Hiromu and Minoru Suzuki in the silly face battle. All shorts. Great stuff.
It's not even silly face. It's like, good face, I guess. I don't know. Emotion face. Like there was a few like where like Hiromu's face and stuff. You're like, this is why you're awesome. You know what I mean? It didn't look funny. It's just like just anime come to life. Like, yeah.
Oh, he's so good. He's the best. So Monday, March 14th in Kagawa was the start of the third round. The first match that we got was Hiroki Goto versus Shima. Shima wins with a series of Meteora. And this was pretty good. It was fine. it was good for what it was. I was expecting an okay match. I got an okay match.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fine. As I said, I don't really super care about Shima. I care that he's there. I think it's super important the strong hearts are there, but I don't particularly care about him. So, yeah. And Goto is, I like Goto. I didn't mention actually because I was so blasé on it, but I did like when all the House of Torture bullshit happened in that Togo match and he fought them all off with his stick. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
And I do like Goto, but sometimes you see a match like this and you're like, this is pretty flat for me, and I don't really have an opinion on it.
Yeah, I think this match was basically the sum of its parts. It was exactly what I expected.
Yeah, exactly. So, moving on.
Yeah. Moving on to Kazuchika Okada defeating Taichi in 24 minutes and 17 seconds via Rainmaker. This one, the first time we get to see Taichi since our last episode, because he did not have his second round opponent. Tenzan could not compete, so Taichi moved on to the third round and ended up losing a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Oh man, this was a good match though.
Yeah.
Taichi was, like you said it before, you think that every time Taichi comes up against Okada, he's getting that much better and that much better and that much better, like measuring himself against Okada. And I think he was better tonight than it might be the best Taichi match I've ever seen. It's very, very good. And you really find yourself, I'm a big Okada nerd. I will never root against Okada, but I was definitely rooting for Taichi because he made me a believer.
Yeah.
And then that belief got ripped right out of my chest when he got Rainmakered into fucking oblivion.
Yeah.
What did you think of this match?
Look, I know I need to rewatch it. I watched it, but I was shotgunning a lot of these matches to take my mind off, like Amy being in surgery and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been so tired that, like, I know I watched this one when that stuff was going on, and it wasn't really digesting for me. You know what I mean? It wasn't entering my mind in the way it should. Like, it was sort of on, but I was sort of staring through it, and that's nothing to do with them. That was just my own life. And so I knew it was good, but hearing you say that makes me know that I need to go back and watch it. I would have really liked Taichi to win. But like we've said this entire thing, New Japan are going to tell those long-term storylines. And when it comes around, maybe it's G1, maybe it's whatever, you watch when Taichi gets that win over Okada, it's going to mean something. And it's going to be awesome.
Definitely. There was, a little bit of fun times after the match where Okada kind of leans over to Taichi. He's like, yeah, that was a lot better. That was a lot better. You want a shot at the belt?
Yeah.
And he's like kind of handpicking him as an opponent, which was pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah, Taichi earned a lot of respect there, so that was really good.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. I didn't catch that bit either, so that's awesome.
So as far as shorts and pants, this is third round now. We're getting to the cream of the crop. Only 2 matches a night. What did you think of this as far as pants or shorts?
I think you're going to have to rate this one. Like I said, I would give. I know Okada and Taichi would be shorts, and I know that Shima and Goto would be pants. It's up to you to say whether they were strong enough to carry Shima and Goto through.
I think your default setting might be pants, whereas my default setting is shorts, and it's got like, as far as Hiroki Goto and Shima, like I'm whatever that is, it was fine.
Yeah.
But I think Taichi and Okada, like, they really did something special. And
I'm happy to take.
I know you were going through some. I know you were going through some shit. You really should watch that.
Yeah, I'll go back. I'll go back and watch it for sure. It was like the match I was looking forward to the most in the tournament. You know what I mean? And like, it's just I had so many matches to get through because it's been so hectic, and I really only had a day to do them. Like, so I was just blazing through stuff while I wasn't really in the headspace to enjoy wrestling. You know what I mean? So the ones that cut through to me, like the matches that seemed to penetrate my malaise that I was going through, were the shock ones that I didn't expect to enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, I knew Taichi and Okada for me would have suffered from mediocre excellence, because it would be really great, but I expected it to be great. And then I was
Mhm.
really surprised when I watched a Sonata and Hanare, and I'm like, oh, that was fucking killer. Like, that sort of woke me up from it. So, yeah, I'll defer to you there, and I would say that it probably is shorts. And I think maybe we'll talk about it on another episode, but I imagine I'll really enjoy it properly when I can rewatch it.
I bet you. All right. Well, the next night was Tuesday, March 15th, continuing the third round with Yoshihashi losing to Jeff Cobb via Tour of the Islands. I love this match. I thought it was a ton of fun. I thought Yoshihashi looked like $1 million, even though he lost. These two had some really weird, cool chemistry going on, and
they did.
This low key banger for this tournament.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I mean, you had told me this one you'd really enjoyed, so I was paying a little bit more attention, I guess. And yeah, I did. I thought Yoshihashi had a little bit of swagger and confidence to him, and I thought it was like a pretty good match. I enjoy United Empire coming to the ring, but no, I mean, Kevin Kelly always talks about them not interfering and stuff. I just enjoy them sort of being there and cheering on their boy, and be it win or lose, they're just sort of supporting. I think that's a cool vibe for them.
Yeah, they're definitely a heel stable, but they're not as chaotic evil as Bullet Club.
Yeah,
they're more like a lawful evil.
Yeah,
for all the D&D nerds out there,
they definitely are, and they definitely do their fighting and score settling and stuff in the ring. You know what I mean? They're like, we're the best, and we're confident, and we're bad because we're the best. You know what I mean? Like we are dominant. Like, not
they're Cobra Kai.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're Cobra Kai. Exactly. But yeah, no, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, that definitely shorts. And then the next match, the main event that they gave to Okayama, the Zip Arena in Okayama, and all 600 people that place can fit. Hiroshi Tanahashi and Tetsuya Naito. Naito wins via a jackknife pin at 18 minutes and 48 seconds. This match was great. This was a ton of fun.
Doesn't fuck around in tournaments, man.
Just Tanahashi and Naito don't.
I know. Well, neither of them. But Tanahashi just held together fucking with hairspray, just aces high to the outside.
Right.
Know what I mean? Just a wild man, eh? He's just absolutely fearless. And yeah, these two obviously have great chemistry. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was a ton of fun.
I probably would have enjoyed it more if Tanahashi had won.
You would enjoy a lot more things if Tanahashi wins.
I love Tanahashi.
Yeah. I'm a Naito guy myself personally. I recognize the greatness of Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I am wearing my Destino shirt right now. No, this match it's something that could easily headline a lot bigger venue and things like that. And I think it was Damon or Joel that pointed out that maybe this is their way of apologizing to some of the rural communities that they've been ignoring for the last few years while they've been running Tokyo endlessly.
Yeah, maybe. So. Maybe. Not wrong, but I think, I'd have to have a look on a map and see where the arena's located. But maybe it was the kind of thing that they knew that they could run that there and people would maybe travel in for it, from surrounding areas and stuff like that. And you would, what's that? I can see Tanahashi and Naito in that gym just over there. I'll drive, an hour. I'll get on the good thing about Japan is you can get on a bullet train and zoom across the country pretty quick. I've been to, prefectorial gymnasiums an hour on a bullet train, but I'm literally halfway across the country. You know what I mean? I'll quickly zoom across Japan real quick, catch this match, and then zoom back.
Yeah, that's nothing, dude. I used to drive 2 hours for a hockey game and then drive 2 hours home.
Yeah,
so to watch Naito and Tanahashi, you better believe I would fucking travel.
Plus, you can sleep on the train in Japan. It's really easy and the most relaxing sleep you'll ever have.
Yeah, probably. And polite sleep. They probably just leave your drinks and stuff for you right there.
Absolutely. I mean, bullet train sleep is the ultimate sleep if you can do it. We joke that when we go back, we're going to fly in and then train to the top of Japan and then train back down again, like an 8-hour train just to get in some solid sleep before we begin the holiday. Anyway, but yeah, absolute banger. Yeah. And worth the price of admission. Shorts.
Two fantastic matches in a very small, very intimate venue. Shorts all the way on that one.
Yeah, 100%.
The next night was Thursday, March 17th from Shizuoka. And the first match was Zack Sabre Jr. versus the Great O'Khan. 20 minutes. Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Great O'Khan by via the submission, "You can't play conkers in England," which is something I've asked my wife about. And evidently, you used to play conkers all the time, and that got banned from schools. Evidently, some kids got conkers in the eyes or something.
Is that like marbles or something?
No, it's like this game where you take these like chestnuts and you tie a little string around it and you swing them at each other. So like kids were like hitting each other with these like chestnuts, and it was like, I don't know.
I'm not sure that's a game. I think that's like hazing in the military, like when they put soap in a pillowcase. Like
you're supposed to swing the chestnuts at each other, and then the chestnuts hit together. But kids were just swinging them at each other and like hitting each other in the head. And shit like
use it as a weapon. Yeah, no, that sounds.
I didn't even think about that. I used to play a game with my friends when we were kids where we'd like choke each other out. It's not really a game. It's just what we used to do. So,
we were just in combat constantly. You're like, I did. It was like I was in youth prison. Like
it was like a boss root and training video.
Yeah,
you just didn't want to mess with it. So yeah, no. Zack Sabre Jr. and Great O'Khan really fun together. I thought that they might have Great O'Khan win this one and kind of continue. Right. He was supposed to have a match against Kota Ibushi, and at this point, I gotta wonder, like, would he even have won that? Would he have gotten this far if Kota Ibushi was injured or was not injured?
I think he would have.
You think he would have beat Kota Ibushi?
Yeah, I think they were like leaning on Kota's injury. I think they would have just like had it be too much for him, and he kind of goes back out again. So. That's what I like to think anyway. It puts him on the shelf even further and stuff. But that's me fantasy booking. But yeah, I thought it was good, man. Zach's been so good in this tournament. Yeah,
megastar.
Absolutely.
Is Zack Sabre Jr. bigger now than he's been in the last few years? Is he putting on weight?
Yes, absolutely. He's putting on size. He used to call himself the Noodle Man. But he's not really that anymore, He's filling out, he's putting on size. I guess a lot of like vegan whey protein and stuff. But yeah, and all the credit in the world to this guy, because COVID and stuff's happening. He just stayed in Japan and like continued working, and obviously like doubled down on his diet and gym work and everything like that, and has really transformed himself physically. And I think for him, he probably knew that if he was going to get to sort of the next level in New Japan, he would need to. You know what I mean? Because it is, at the end of the day, it is like a looks business, in wrestling. And if he wants to, hold big boy belts and stuff like that, he needs to sort of look the part a bit. He's never going to be like as big as Ospreay or anything like that, but you need to be able to like, stand next to Naito and Okada and stuff and have at least sort of that level. And he's definitely there now, and I think you'll probably see him. Like, I feel like he maybe even looked a little bit bulkier, like maybe he's putting on size to then cut it a bit, So, yeah, I think we'll see some more transformations from him as he goes.
Yeah, I dig it. I really dig Zack Sabre Jr. Right now. Well, I dig Zack Sabre Jr. all the time, but I mean, it shows that they've got a lot of trust and respect, and they really appreciate him. Like how good he's looking in this tournament, how good he looked in last year's G1. Like, they want him to be considered a top level contender. And I think that Absolutely. He really is. I mean, he's one of the best in the entire world on this planet at what he does. Yeah. And I mean, there's like 3 names you can really throw out that are his level of grappler. You've got Zack Sabre Jr., Jonathan Gresham, Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Brian Danielson.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just like pretty fucking good company, man.
Oh, absolutely. And he's like, for me as well, he's actually a former Amy-180 winner, by the way. She used to hate
good for him.
Zack Sabre Jr. I even used to kind of hate Zack Sabre Jr. I was like, whatever, man. Like, I felt like the offense and stuff wasn't as convincing for me. I'm like, anybody can just put somebody in a dumb hole and put a a knuckle in somebody's ribs and sort of, be sort of this pesky, like, counter specialist. And I've even said on, early shows of mine, I felt like it, he undersold stuff for somebody that was, not heavily muscled and stuff. Like he would do sort of strong style bits where it's like, come on then, and people like double his size are hitting him and it's not even affecting him. And I just wasn't about it. But he's really dialed in his offense. I feel like his offense comes across so, I don't know, mean, I guess, like vicious, in how he attacks people. He used to be very defensive, like, come on then, and then he'd like throw a thing on, but he's like actively grinds people down. And we'll talk about this more in the Ospreay match. But like, he's become this like real sort of malicious wrestler. And then he's really picked up his cockiness, and that's what won Amy over as well. Like in his promos, I think it was G1 the year before or whatever, when he cut that promo when he's calling everybody a dickhead and saying, what are you going to do when the noodle man wraps you up and all this like ridiculous shit. Like, and we were like, he's so funny in these press conferences. Like, and then you see him, pick up his size and pick up his offense and everything like that. And he's like nobody else for me at the moment. He's like absolutely killing it.
Oh, he's the best. One of my favorite things is seeing Zack Sabre Jr. matches here in England, where the fans will like openly just like sing and chant leftist slogans at him and things like that, and like watch him play to the audience in the ring, like while they're doing that. I love everything that surrounds this guy. He's great. He's one of my he's in my fave 5.
He's absolutely killer.
The next match was Sonata versus Will Ospreay. This is the match that had to be stopped due to the injury to Sonata. I mean, I thought the match was going really good up until that I don't want to say it was a botched ending.
Yeah,
it was. It was. These things happen.
I feel like it made it better. Like I feel like it made the match better. It added like
made it feel more real.
Yeah, it made it feel real, and it showed me Sonata's like fighting spirit and commitment to the match, and so if anything, like it continued the 180 course he was on for me, and it was great work by Will as well. Like when fucking Sonata's on the ground and then Will like lays down, he's like, I've knocked him out, and he's laying down next to him like doing the dead fish thing and like laughing in his face and stuff. I was like, you are such a fucking cunt. And it was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was a El Phantasmo level of trolling there. It was really pretty good.
It was good.
Pretty fucking good. I
mean, we've talked about this, so it comes down. Yeah.
What really sold it was Kevin Kelly going, there's your champion. Look at this guy. Yeah. Like he was so disgusted. It was great. Yeah. Great moment.
Nah, it was perfect. It was really good.
Let's pause for a second while I let the puppy outside, okay?
Okay. No worries. I'll do
mark
the same.
It down, eh?
Cheers.
Frank, you want to go aside? Okay, the next night that we are going to cover is Friday, March 18th from Tokyo, back in Kurikan Hall. And the first match that we're going to cover is Shingo Takagi beating Chase Owens in 16 minutes and 41 seconds via Last of the Dragon. Now, they were teasing back and forth, I can beat you in 5 minutes, I can beat you in 5 minutes, and Shingo just disrespecting Chase the entire time. Like, I got 5. I got 5 minutes for you, Chase Owens, which I thought was fantastic. Then they had Chase, of course, injure Shingo after jump him after a match and hit him with a package pile driver on a chair, thus making everyone think that maybe he wasn't going to just beat him in 5 minutes. I still think he should have, but I mean, you got to sell tickets on the back of a match that has to go more than 5 minutes. Yeah. It would have been so great just for Shingo to put him in his place and be like, look, dude, you're not on my level.
Yeah. I would have loved that if just even despite everything he overcomes it. And even if it was just a snap thing like he did with Loa, like, pulls out something else. I don't even think Chase needs, the what's it, Last of the Dragon or Into the Dragon finisher. Yeah. I'm talking made in Japan at best, like, just out of nowhere and just finish him off, no fucks given.
I mean,
just at literally like 4.99, you know, like kind of
Well, they
like,
should have had
yeah.
a timer running the entire
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
the crowd counting down.
See,
Oh,
it
it would have
doesn't
been
need
great.
to be long to be a main event, and that's something that New Japan forget. You can pad out other matches, and you can have a main event if done right, and with that kind of the right sort of hype around it, people will be super invested in seeing him beat him in 5 minutes, and then be like, "Cool, I'm happy. I'm going home. He did it." Like you would
Or you
be
could just have
satisfied.
him. You could just have Shingo beat him, but Chase is able to withstand. You know, like Shingo's got him in some sort of submission move. You know, it doesn't have to be Last of the Dragon, like you said. You can have him in some sort of submission move, and Chase is able to wait until 5 minutes and 25 seconds or something before he actually taps out.
Yeah, yeah. And then Shingo's like, "Okay, then you survived. Good one." Like kind of thing.
Good
You
for
got
you.
this. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
At least they did something with it. They were telling a story, so that's cool.
Then, and if you didn't watch the match, this might look weird. If you're just looking at the results, Hiromu Takahashi beats Evil with the Evil
Yeah,
in 15 minutes and 52 seconds, which I thought was cathartic is probably the best word for it. It was such a great moment watching Hiromu having, I mean, the biggest pandemic crowd that we've seen in Japan in 2 years. They were losing their absolute fucking shit. They were just, I mean, going wild. They weren't chanting, they were screaming when when they were losing their minds. They were gasping, they were shouting, they were, stop themselves if they had to. But it was so good to see.
yeah,
Hiromu just is a megastar, and like the fact that these people wanted so badly to see Hiromu overcome the House of Torture really shows that the work they've put into the House of Torture over the last 2 years, like you said, was worth it.
yeah. And like, Evil played his part perfectly in this. Like the frustration and the yelling, and like just getting so mad, was like really well done. And then Hiromu overcoming everything was so awesome. I loved at the end where he's like, "No, no, Evil, you didn't get beaten by a junior heavyweight. You got beaten by Hiromu freaking Takahashi." And he's
That's right.
like, and that must be so embarrassing for you losing to your own move. He's like, Evil and the House of Torture are finished. And it was like awesome. Like everybody loved it. He knocks House of Torture, and I think he was the last Bullet Club member as well, out of the tournament. And it was just this big cathartic moment. I had this one because, like I said, I've been catching up on all these. I had this one spoilt for me. I can only imagine how that felt watching it live, because watching it live, I would have never expected him to win. And I'm kind of gutted because I defend against spoilers really well. I like to live in those moments like organically. And so, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing I couldn't just like live it. But yeah, I'm sure even knowing it, I still absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I found myself watching it live, just like fist pumping and stuff in my living room. It was really cool. It was a great moment, and yeah, it was really well earned. It felt kind of like a not a coming out party for Hiromu. Like everybody knows Hiromu's a star, but it kind of felt like a welcome back party,
Yeah,
I
it
guess
felt
is the
like
best way to put it.
rehabilitation for me. I've been pretty bored with him, to be fair. Like going
Really?
into Wrestle Kingdom and stuff like that, I wanted Despy to win. I was like, do not give me like a return to just Hiromu has everything kind of thing. And Despy won, and I was like, cool, I can take a backseat with that. And then for me, Hiromu coming out and he's still holding like the trophy and stuff, I'm like, bro, you already lost. Leave that shit at home. And I was like, who cares? But these two matches, like a perfect example, doing a great job in the New Japan Cup again. Two matches completely rehabilitated him for me and breathed new life into the character. And he was sort of hinting at Desperado, and he's like, he's sort of going, or will I challenge for something else? I mean, technically he pinned the never openweight champion, right? Evil's the never
Right.
openweight champion. That's a great bridging belt for somebody if they want to do stuff. I know you don't want juniors going up to heavyweight all that often. Hiromu could be a perfect candidate to do that. I found when
Well,
he
that
was standing eye to eye with Suzuki, I'm like, he's not that small, like so.
no, he's
Yeah,
he's always been one of the he's like Jushin Liger. He's built big for a junior.
yeah,
And the thing about this is they're not hinting at him either jumping to heavyweight or going for like the open weight title. They are straight up like blasting you over the head with it.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh no, he's not a junior anymore. He's Hiromu Takahashi,
Yeah.
and that's probably what's going to be next for him
Do
is
you think
going
they're
after that
gonna
never belt.
they're gonna have him ride the middle for a bit? I think they'll still have him do junior stuff, but I think they'll start having him do heavyweight stuff as well, and just being like, it's Hiromu, he can do what he wants.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they'll do. I mean, they can give him because like Will had a run with the never belt before he jumped up to
Yeah, it's a perfect,
heavyweight.
and I mean, it's supposed to be that title. I would love to see Hiromu have it and defend against Sho and El Phantasmo, but then also Ishii and also other
Taichi and Suzuki.
exactly. You know what I mean? He could do that before going all the way through. And unlike what you said with El Phantasmo, where you're like, he still hasn't won the title and there's lots he could do. Hiromu's kind of done it all now as far as junior stuff goes. So if anybody was going to make that move, Hiromu's ticked every box he needs to in the juniors, and he could definitely walk that line. And like we were saying, the open weight title, I would love to see it be more of like a tweener title that can be defended against all comers. And so I think he's perfect for that. And I think he's built a bit more size and his height is there. And then you see him in these matches against like the likes of Suzuki and Evil, and then even onto Shingo. It's just elevated him so much. And I was, like I said, kind of flat on him. I was like, I've seen everything from him. I don't want to see another junior run. I don't want him to interrupt Despy's run. And this is perfect because it can move on. You can leave Despy to run that division. You can start to do stuff with him and El Phantasmo and the others, because if Hiromu's in there, it's just the Hiromu show. So I think that's for the best, and I think they're on the right track.
Yeah, we're absolutely watching the trajectory of Hiromu go up and up and up and up. He's got every single accolade he could possibly have in the junior division. He's gonna probably snatch that never belt really shortly, and from there it's just a hop, skip, and a jump up to heavyweight and headlining the Dome at some point.
Yeah, exactly. He can definitely get there. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. So the next night was Sunday, March 20th, from Niigata. Niigata. Sure. Okay. And this one was the beginning of the quarterfinals for us. So we had Tetsuya Naito roll up Jeff Cobb in about 19 minutes. My heart broke in two. I was really hoping for Jeff Cobb to advance here. Cobb's looked like a monster in the G1 and came up short. He looked like a monster here in the New Japan Cup and came up short. He's going to break out shortly. I thought this was going to be his time, but we just got to be a bit more patient. This is where that wait and see, that courageous wait and see policy comes in with New Japan. It's coming. It's coming. You never know when it's going to be.
First of all, before we jump into it, we didn't rate that previous night, but I think we could agree it was shorts.
It was definitely shorts.
Yeah, it was definitely shorts. And then, with this one, I was a bit disappointed too, and I'm super surprised that they're putting Naito and Okada back on a collision course so quickly after only just having that match. I guess my only concern is that like this trend we're seeing of Naito just rolling people up. Is that how he beats Okada? He's just like gets a quick roll up on him and gets through to the finals or whatever, which I don't super love. I don't know, but yeah, I guess we'll see how it plays out. They always have great matches, so it's fine. But yeah, I would have liked to see Cobb go through. I could have seen him winning the whole cup. So yeah, disappointing.
Would have been nice to see. I mean, like normally the New Japan Cup is there to launch a new talent into the upper echelons, and I really thought it was going to be Jeff Cobb's year, but that's okay. I mean, it's not bad. It just, it's what I was hoping for, and it didn't come to pass.
Well,
New Japan doesn't always give us what we want, but it always gives us what we need.
Well,
right now we kind of need those big names.
Yeah, that is true. And the way we're looking now, where we stand today with our Final Four, we're not really seeing anybody new. You know what I mean? I think for me, Zach is now the most exciting candidate to win it. Just even though he's won New Japan Cup before, just because I'd love to see him in title contention. But we've seen Okada in matches very recently with both Shingo and Naito. So I think I'd like just something fresh there.
Well, let's not talk about the Final Four just yet.
Sorry, I'm getting excited. Okay, keep going.
Because our other quarterfinal match of the evening was Shima losing to Kazuchika Okada via the Rainmaker after about 20 minutes and 50 seconds. And this one was basically exactly what I expected it to be. I've really thought that Shima's had a really good run. I know that you're not super into it, but as far as like selling the Strong Hearts, I think he's done a really great job. I can't wait to see what they can do. You know, if they have a big show coming up, I think they have a big show coming up this weekend that the Strong Hearts, all three of them are going to be in. I'm into it. And it seems like maybe there's a certain title that three people might be able to hold together. I don't know. I'm not going to say the Strong Hearts need the never 6-man belts, but it would be really cool to see.
Will not hurt. It will not hurt. It's worth noting as well, just quickly before we're all the way out of this side of the block, a commentary point that I only just remembered when Cobb beat Yoshihashi, they made a big mention of the fact that he had just pinned one half of the tag team champions as well. Yeah. So it looks like they're lining up Undisputed Era for that. Now, my personal choice would be Hanare and Cobb together would be...
Yes.
But it'll probably be Okada and Cobb, I would say.
I mean, really pick your poison there. You could take... And I believe it was Kevin Kelly mentioned something about a Freebird rule. Have all three of them just cycle in and out with the Freebird rule.
That would be sick. That would be really cool. I would have
no problem with whoever's in the country.
Even four of them. Like you could have Ospreay come in and out as well. So
sure,
how it is. So yeah,
sure.
Anyway,
whoever's in the country, man. Mm-hmm. Whoever's in the country from the United Empire just holds that belt, holds it down. You know, that way, if it's Hanare has to go back to New Zealand, he's got to stay there. It's okay. We got Cobb. It's cool. Yeah. Like that would be a really cool thing you don't see in New Japan.
No, it would be cool and be different. As far as the Okada Shima match goes, it was a bit of like I knew there was no way he was gonna beat him and try to be present with it, but I didn't terribly care. So it was fine. It was good. I liked that they showed each other a lot of respect at the end of the match. I thought that was sweet. But
definitely, yeah, it was really cool to see. Okada was pulling out a lot of his like Yave like submission maneuvers and things like that. It was pretty neat. Entertaining match. I went shorts on this for sure. The Naito and Jeff Cobb match was definitely my favorite match of the night, but I thought both of them really delivered.
Yeah, I could give it a shorts. I think both would be good. Nobody's going to be sad about either match. That's for sure. And
the next night that we're looking at is Monday, March 21st in Niigata at the Aure Nagaoka. Not gonna pronounce this right, that's for sure. And the first match that we had for that was Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Will Ospreay via Selected Technical Works Volume 2 and advancing to the semifinals is Zack Sabre Jr. This match had a bit of controversy in it. It's a bit of a pro wrestling work, and it was really fun. These guys have such great chemistry.
Such like a dickhead Englishman like fighting energy. All right, come on then, dickhead. Like all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I'm Billy No Brace, say it. My wife and I were watching this live, and the spot where they sat down on their asses and start kicking each other in the chest.
That's like now a meme. Basically, people are like, me and my little brother in the back car seat on the way to.
That's exactly. That's what my wife said. She goes, "Oh, this reminds me of taking a trip down to the shore with my sister."
Yeah, exactly. Kicking the shit
so
out
great.
They're so petty, like with each other. It was a really fun match, and like you said, a great controversial ending that then Will is able to not lose and carry on and feel hard done by, but then people are also like stop whinging, and it's perfect.
It's he's going to go into his match in Chicago with Moxley with a chip on his shoulder, and I like that when Will wrestles with a chip on his shoulder, it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, that was awesome, and I felt like the right dude won as well. I think it was the most interesting turn of events.
Super shorts for that one. And
absolutely.
I mean, like shorts, like
Yeah.
John Stockton NBA shorts,
Like,
super
we
short
like
shorts.
shorts, kind of
Ooh,
denim
like
shorts in the water, kind of
Daisy Dukes.
Simpsons,
Yeah.
scenario.
And next up, we had Shingo Takagi beating Hiromu Takahashi in an all LIJ battle via Last of the Dragon after 23 minutes and 43 seconds. Both of these matches just fucking ruled.
Yeah,
They were so good.
Oh, great. Hiromu just being like such a little prick, I guess. Like, again, it was that kind of little brother energy where it felt like a big brother fighting a little brother, and he's just like so mean and like nasty and just attacking. It's just like a little pit bull. It was really good. I would have liked a Hiromu upset here, but it wouldn't have made sense. Like, it had to be Shingo at that point.
Yeah, I mean, Hiromu he can beat heavyweights.
But he can't beat
As
all
of
the
yet,
heavyweights. He can't beat the former
he
world
shouldn't beat a
champion.
former world champion. Yeah. I see why it happened. Still would have been cool.
Yeah.
Like, I get the logic in it, and that's one thing about New Japan. It's always logical booking. So now we've got our final four: Zack Sabre Jr. and Shingo Takagi, and on the other side of the block, Okada and Naito. And when we talk about logical booking, I just mentioned it. There's no real upsets here. I mean, maybe you could say that Zack over Will is, but no, they've got history together. They know how to go. The idea that New Japan is starting, it's on the comeback trail, right? And maybe now is not the time to rest on trying to make a new star. They tried to make new stars with Evil at the start of the pandemic, because they were playing with house money. They were only going to be selling so many tickets for so many events anyway. You might as well just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Then they saw that so many people were getting hurt and things like that, and that people were really responding to Shingo. So they said, fuck it, we're going to make a new star of Shingo and see what he can do. We might as well. And that's cool. But now, like you said, we're on the comeback trail. We're going to put the belt on Okada. We're going to let him lead for a while. This is what they needed to do. And this New Japan Cup, they were like, man, fuck it. We're just going to Mount Rushmore it. We're going to take the four best workers in the company, and we're going to see what they can do. And maybe they're not the four best workers in the company, but there's some of the best. There's some of the biggest names. Absolutely. And it's the most logical thing that they possibly could have done right now. It may not be the sexiest thing, but it's the most logical thing. Things like Naito and Okada are going to pop a huge house for Osaka Joe Hall. Okada, and if it's Naito and Sabre, that'll be a good house. I mean, like, really, there's four matches we could have here, and they're all really good.
Yeah. Well, let's as we before we wrap up here, let's just break down these last matches and how we sort of think it's going to go, and then when we next come back on the next episode of Okada Shorts, we'll be able to talk about these matches and then talk about the finals. There's a few scenarios to sort of play out here, and I think they're all interesting. Immediately I go for like the sexier kind of things I haven't seen before, but there's still stories to be told. So first up, I guess, like you say, Naito and Okada is never going to be bad. They just had a completely banger match. They could just do them forever. And they could very well do that. They could go, okay, Naito gets a flash pin sort of roll up on Okada, gets through the finals, then it leads to, like, another title conflict wherein, they have another banger match and you can just have them headline shows forever. On the other side of the bracket, you've got Zack versus Shingo, and both of them pose interesting candidates as well. Shingo is the former champion. Never heard, that it's going to be a banger match, and it keeps him in the conversation, and that's never bad. And then Zack is obviously a technical wizard. And so whatever, I'm really interested just in Shingo and Zack, just even in a match with those two together is going to be great. But Zack versus Okada has proven to be really good in the past. And then I guess there's the last option where Okada just wins everything. So he's got the title and he's got the New Japan Cup, and I guess he just picks himself an opponent.
I have a conspiracy theory on that.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear it.
So it's not with the New Japan Cup. It's not just like I get to challenge for whatever title I want. It's like I get to do whatever I want.
Okay.
So he's going to win the cup and he's going to say, gee, you know what? I sure wish crowds could cheer again. And that's how they bring back the cheering crowds. Oh,
just wishes away COVID on the New Japan Cup. He rubs the lamp and COVID goes away.
Well, I think the timeline's lining up because they're, Hiroshi Tanahashi's already, in that segment where he was crying because that little girl couldn't give him a hug and things like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, Japan's starting to open up again, and maybe the restrictions are easing.
Well, as the last person that hugged Hiroshi Tanahashi live before COVID broke out, I know how much I've missed it, and I know how warm a hug he gives, so I know it's been taking its toll on him. And
brag.
And on the crowd. So yeah, I don't really know where I'm going on this. I just wanted to talk about that again. But
podcast listener, you'll notice that Rafe will work this into every episode. As you know, I hugged Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah, well, actually, Hiroshi Tanahashi hugged me. This is a very different.
Oh well,
it's a very different.
That's a big difference.
It is.
That's a distinction I would make.
But so I love that, and then so that would actually be really cool and a really sweet, very Japanese thing to do. If they don't do that, if Okada wins and he's going to pick a match for himself, what would you have him pick? Would you have him go after another title because he wants to have multiple, or would you just pick like a dream opponent for him?
Probably just a dream opponent for him. He's never given half a shit about any other title that's not his world title.
I just had an idea.
Oh, hit me. Let's go.
Picks a dream opponent to challenge for his title. He's not interested in other titles. He just wants his title. And so he's like, I just want to put on a great show for the fans. American Dragon, Daniel Bryan.
Oh, man, wouldn't that be great?
I'll see you at Dominion.
Luthez.
Luthez, raise him from the grave with necromancy. But yeah, something like that, like a crossover dream match.
Kaito Kiyomiya from Noah.
Yeah. I mean, he already beat him. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but All Japan's coming up. I don't know. So,
oh man, Okada versus Jake Lee would be really good.
Yeah, there's options there. So maybe a lot of people would say, the champion just winning it isn't interesting, but they can make it interesting. So that could be cool.
I think all four of these are interesting. I'm not as interested in Naito winning it because we just saw him challenge, but it was a great match.
Yeah. I feel like
challenge.
That's the most predictable outcome. Naito roll up on Okada, and then Naito wins everything, and then it's another Okada Naito match at the next. Is it Dominion where he defends it? The next big event that he would be.
That is, probably, because that is the next big event coming up.
And so that would be a huge headliner for Dominion. They kind of did the 50th anniversary thing. The crowds are starting to, pick back up. Maybe there's cheering involved. And so maybe another Naito defense isn't the worst thing in the world. Do you think, because Naito's run sort of got cut short a little bit by COVID and stuff, do you think there is the potential for the title to flip again so soon?
How many people would he have defended it against? Will and then Naito, right? And then didn't he defend it against? No, he didn't defend it against Despy.
I mean, he might throw in another title defense too before then. You know what I mean? Hey, Tai Chi, I liked fighting you. Let's just have a match. He might.
Yeah, let's have a match at the next road to whatever. Yeah. Maybe, and then lose it to Naito at Dominion. It's a definite possibility.
This is a new title, with this new world title. I feel like they're looking to run it differently than they used to the IWGP, heavyweight title. That had become such like a staunch legacy that it felt like it couldn't go to just anybody. It felt like you have to be the guy, and that's the only way you could ever have it. But now this new one kind of feels like it can maybe fly around a little bit more than they have in the past.
Maybe a little bit more than it has in the past, but I don't think they're going to do that, and I'll explain why. They put the belt on Shingo to get stability, right? Because it went from...
You mean Okada?
No, they put it on Shingo.
You mean
when Will got injured, because Kota lost it, Will got injured, and they were like, okay, people hate the belt. Then Kota loses it. Then Will gets injured. We need stability right now. And they put the belt on Shingo, and it made the belt. Shingo held the belt for 6 months. He ran through a G1 with it. He probably wasn't supposed to run through a G1 with it, but he ended up doing that. And that kind of settled everything down. I think they're not going to start the very next person start flinging it around every 3 to 6 months.
No, I think you're probably right. I think Okada's next defense, he defends, but yeah, there's always the possibility there. That there's
possibility. There's a definite possibility of 3 defense. 3 defenses, pretty good.
And I mean, out of those candidates, if he was going to potentially drop it to anybody, it would be Naito, because he's another rock solid choice to hold it. Like the guy's the biggest merch seller in the company. LIJ's huge. He's huge. It's not a bad move for him to have it.
Yeah, I would love to see it go to Zach, though. That's one thing that we could do with a new belt is, you can start putting it on people you wouldn't normally think about.
See, that's an exciting turn of events. Some Zach, bullshit or whatever, and manages to eke it out and escape with the belt is very exciting to me. That's
and then we rename it Sabergoon.
Oh, bitch. Oh, okay. Now we're getting somewhere. That's really good.
That's money.
Yeah, that's money. Rebuild the faction.
Sabergoon is money. Take all my British pound sterling right now.
Yeah, man. Imagine that. Wins the title. He's in the ring. Suzuki can all come down to celebrate with him. He's got the title. And then, Suzuki, and he goes, respect or whatever. He goes, oh, thanks, Suzuki. I've really appreciated your respect, dickhead. Taichi. And fucking just gives him the nod and just pumping Bomber to the back of the fucking head. Doki
gives him
the
that
pipe.
Sweet sumo chop thing he does.
And they just fucking stomp his ass out and rename it Sabergoon right there.
I'm into it.
Fucking badass.
I'm so fucking into
a little
it,
bit of fantasy booking to end the podcast. That is awesome, man. Now that is killer.
That's the way it goes.
I love it, man. Tell the people where to find you. Let's wrap this bad boy up and we'll reconvene after the New Japan Cup.
Right on. Well, you can find me on Instagram at eldestructo83, same as my Twitter, eldestructo83. You can listen to me on, I've got 2 other podcasts, another wrestling-centric podcast called The Smart Foundation, where we talk about retro wrestling and things like that. We also have the Throw and Dice podcast for all of your nerd needs, like D&D role-playing, tabletop wargaming, Warhammer, that sort of thing. You can find those wherever you find this beautiful podcast, available on all of your podcatchers of choice. And, really find me wherever you want. Talk to me. I don't give a shit. It's awesome. I don't like to argue with people online, so I'll probably just agree with you if you're being a shithead, but it's fun.
There you go. Absolutely. It's all about conversation, man. As for me, you can find me at Faces Feels Cast, my interview podcast, Faces and Feels. I've released my 100th episode with the mighty deathmatch wrestler known only as Schlack, Public Enemy number 1. So that episode is banging away on any podcast feed you can get to, so please feel free to have a listen to that. He's a very, very entertaining man with an amazing voice. As far as that, support all Curtis's stuff. Check out all our different links. Check out all the shows on Countout. And until then, for Curtis... Whoa, I'm doing the fucking sign-off, man. What's up?
You got one more we need to shout out.
Who the fuck?
Your boy Owen.
Oh!
and riff your pod.
Oh, you are absolutely right. I almost forgot about Owen. Much like a...
You can't forget about Owen. Owen's in my boys' stable now.
Like a true good friend of 10 years, I completely forgot he exists. But shout out to @riffyourpod or riffyourpod at bandcamp.com. Owen made the Okada Shorts theme that you hear at the start of this show. He also has just written a new theme for Throw and Dice Pod for Curtis. And if you have a podcast or anything that you need music for, if you're a wrestler that needs an entrance theme even, hit him up. He turned around our themes in like a week each. The guy's like an absolute demon. He's a great guitarist, great vocalist. Ash Large, who used to be the drummer from my band Discord, drums in the band Claim the Throne, many bands, very talented, has now moved down south where Owen lives as well. So on Throw and Dice Pod, that's actually live drums performed by Ash, who's an amazing drummer. So, you know, these guys play everything, they do everything, and they can just put this stuff together for you. So,
and they're so willing to work with you on any sort of issues that you have, any suggestions and things like that. They're very open. Really cool to talk to Ash and just bounce ideas off of him and see what he came up with, man. The dude is super cool.
Yeah, exactly right. So make sure you check out Riff Your Pod. Okay, so for Curtis and for me, Rafe, keep it right, keep it tight, and keep it short. Peace.
Keep it short, baby.
Peace. This has been a Count Out Podcast.
You're right! There's buried treasure here! How did you know?
There always be treasure in the independent waters, matey.
Why don't more people come here for their hunt for treasure, Captain?
It'd be a hard one to find, but if you want to make it easier to find, tune into Independent Waters on the Count Out Network.
Every Wednesday with your hosts, me, Zach Batista.
And me, Mikey Manfredi.
As we take you through the independent wrestling scene and find the treasure buried beneath the surface.
Whether you're new to indie wrestling or have been watching for years, this show is for you.
That's Independent Waters every Wednesday on the Count Out Network.
See you there, landlubbers.